Welcome to the Escape Room, the place where small business owners get together and talk about life and daily challenges. I'm your host, Armin, and I would like to introduce my guest today, my close friend, amazing human being, and very interesting guy to spend time with and have decent conversation. Sevak Petrosyan, owner and founder of MIHR Construction Services. Sevak, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Armin. My pleasure.
The first question that I usually ask is, how did you start your business venture?
So I started my business in my mid-20s. It was about 5 years ago. And I decided that I was going to quit my 9-to-5 and venture into the construction world and get licensed so I can start working on projects of my own. Having been in industry for a very long time, I really felt the need to get out of my comfort zone and go into something that I've always wanted to do.
And I've used your services. I love it, and I keep using it. But why should I choose you?
So I feel like there is a niche for everybody in any business in particular. I truly believe that we are a turnkey construction company, and we offer a long list of services to really take the construction process from A to Z, starting from the drawing board or just an idea, just a thought, and turn it into something that the homeowner or client couldn't have even thought possible. And I focused on trying to deliver that in the highest quality and standards.
And how big is your team now?
So my managing team is just 2. It's me and my fiance. She's handling pretty much all of the advertising, marketing, all the bookkeeping. She's taking care of a lot of the financial side of things and management side of things. And I'm focused on the production and construction and running and operating the job sites.
It's there's a belief that you should never start a business with close relative, friends, or cousins and siblings. How do you feel running business with fiance? Does it affect your life after the job is done? Do you continue discussing the projects while you're home, or you just turn off the switch and you just...
So that's a very interesting question. I did feel like it was something that might have not been easy, and it's a funny thing that you mentioned that I did even get a few warnings. My former employer, who found out, he pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, young man, you got to think about this, because I've been in that position, and let me tell you," and I personally knew who he was talking about, and he said, "Hey, they start to take control. They want to be in charge. They want to take lead, and they want to micromanage." And I said, "Hey, it's at the time it was a risk I was willing to take, and I have absolutely no regrets, because I've seen a big improvement in the direction the business is heading, and I've seen a big improvement in the overall functionality of how we run things. It's true, I did start the company on my own, but now I have almost like a sister company, which she's managing, and we are currently building a luxury design studio for our clients to come and use it as a space to design their homes, and she has taken charge in that, and we try not to step on each other's toes, but we really help one another. And I think that's a very important part of my life, that I am able to, spend that time with her and work on projects, and she gets to see what I go through on a day-to-day basis, and she gets a different understanding for what it takes to run this company. And I truly feel like it's a decision that I don't see myself regretting in the long run.
Did you guys discuss any terms and conditions, or worst case scenario, if something goes wrong, how you gonna run a business? If something goes wrong, God forbid, in your personal life, you're still gonna be running the business together? Or the opposite way, if you might not understand each other at the business, at the job site, how is it gonna affect your personal life? Have you ever had that conversation?
So we haven't really had this conversation, and I don't ever think that we felt the need to have this conversation. Yes, I understand it's very important to maybe sit down and say, hey, you know what, God forbid, if this thing doesn't work out, what are we gonna do? However, I've been blessed with a very easygoing and understanding partner who would, I'm sure if, God forbid, we were in a situation like that, we would somehow figure out how to move past it.
Right. And do you have any, you or your fiance, do you guys have any degree in business management or no?
No, so we don't have any degrees in business management. She has a design background and a business management background. She's worked in construction for a very long time. We've actually worked together prior to ever knowing one another, just over the phone, over email. She was working for a glazing company, and she was managing that business, and I was working for a stone and tile company, and we were always in constant contact for work reasons, but never met. So we have a lot of experience, both of us, in industry.
The reason I'm asking is, when you start business, first few years, you just concentrated on surviving and fighting a competition, or creating your image and name that everybody is going to trust. But there comes a point when you understand that you just don't have enough knowledge to grow bigger, to manage the business as a business, not doing the construction. You know that part well, but when your team grows bigger, you're gonna get feeling of or you already have a feeling of not having enough knowledge of running the actual business and structuring the company. Have you ever had that feeling? And if yes, what do you do for that? You take seminars, classes, read books, or what's your solution?
So I can't say that I've been in a position that thus far I've really felt like I can maybe use some of that knowledge that I could have obtained through going to school and getting a degree in business management and business administration. I know that sometimes it can be very difficult to manage the business and the employees and really try to expand and grow, especially as a new company. I've really felt that it is a struggle to try to be successful and make sure that you don't lose a ton of money while you're in the growth process and you're trying to maintain your company, and you're trying not to have any sort of setbacks or lawsuits or anything related to having a healthy business. So I have felt it from time to time. However, I think because of my background and because of the knowledge that I have had in the industry, that I've been able to really maneuver and come out of a lot of situations with a good outcome.
All right. And how when did you start your business? 4 years ago?
Yes.
4 years ago. And what do you do? What's your best way of advertisement? Which platform you use, or what?
So I've tried several types of marketing and advertisement strategies. There are special construction related companies which do help put your business out there and give you exposure and almost send you information for clients who are looking for
leads,
yes. Yeah. And I have not had any success with them. We offer a very different type of service. I focus on a lot of special projects. So it was something that I didn't find that was a good fit for our company, and I didn't think that it was helpful to our business to work with them at the current time. I really think that the best form of marketing that you can get as a builder is word of mouth, and a lot of our business has come this way. And another thing that I ventured into about a year ago was to open up my design studio and really showcase my work and use that as a form of marketing. So that's something that I'm currently working on, and I will open very soon.
So you mentioned that you decided to quit 9 to 5 job and to start your own venture. And there's a saying that when you decide to start your own business, you're the one who decides which 12 hours of the day you can end up working. So you pretty much work much longer hours at the beginning. And first question is, how much time do you dedicate to run a business on average? And second, what's your favorite way of spending time alone, if you have that?
So, that's a good question. I dedicate at least 10 hours a day to this business.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like there has been any sort of time limit where I can say, hey, you know what, it's enough with work, and this is me time and family time, and work can wait. You truly don't feel how much time and effort you put into developing and running and managing your own business, because it doesn't feel like a real job. From the day that I left my 9 to 5 and started developing this business, I haven't felt what it's like to go to work. And I feel like that's something that I was always looking for as an employee, to say, hey, you know what, I want to do this passionately.
Mm-hmm.
And I always worked passionately, but there was always this drag of, well, it's another work day, it's another day, and go do your hours, put your best foot forward, and eventually it all becomes a little stagnant. I didn't see any growth for a few years, and it bothered me a lot. And whenever I really sat down to think about it, I realized that where I was, I had no more room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing else for me to do there but get up and run that company myself. So I think, I don't know, we may have kind of got off track from the question, but I truly feel like today I put in most of my day into work, and I can't put a number on it. Sometimes it's into the late hours of the evening. I sit down. I do a lot of my drafting at that time, and I get very passionate about it. Sometimes sitting and working until midnight. So the hours are definitely very long, but also very rewarding. And I think to answer your other question about what I like to do with my free time, I truly like and enjoy the business that I'm in, and I've been spending my free time as of late trying to develop and envision what the future of homes can be, particularly smart homes. So this is something that I spent a lot of my free time on.
Good. And You mentioned that you one of the reasons that you left 9 to 5 job was that you had no room to grow. And what's your vision for next 5 years or 10 years? How big you want to grow? How do you want to go statewide, nationwide, worldwide with your company, or you just want to set a limit? Like, you know what, I'll get to this point, and from there, I'm doing something else.
So, there are projects which I have worked on in the past that have been very rewarding. When you work on a, $150 million, $250 million home, it's an experience that you can't really explain.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is kind of what drove me to get into the custom homes, because working on these properties has been such a pleasant experience for me that this is what I decided I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And doing it, I wanted to put my name on there and say, hey, you know what, this is my doing. This is something that I came up with, and I took this vision and I made it into a reality. There are some very big developers in the Los Angeles real estate market who have built these incredible homes that it's a complete jaw-dropping experience just being a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting part is when, I would envision myself in an industry, I always put myself in that high-end residential construction, that very special niche that I've worked in and I'm comfortable working in, and I know this is where I can succeed. So this is something that I've always wanted. I've always felt that this is where I belong in the industry.
You mentioned that you're spending your free time by researching in the smart homes and seeing what's the future in the field that you're in. And can you picture your company in 20 years, how it's going to look? Or do you see that this profession might be taken over by AI or robots, and your job will be obsolete?
So that's an interesting question. The idea started off of very, very simple things. I feel like homes have not developed the same way that other things have, such as cars and technology and phones and just products in general, And I really felt that the home can use a major upgrade in how it's built, and more so how it functions. And I've always been a fan of the minimalist approach. So my idea has been that you can design a very clean, self-sustainable, easy-to-use home with a lot of built-in technologies just for ease of use. and a lot of things don't have to be manual. They can be automated. So I really spend my time not only imagining what that can be like, but also doing my research to see what companies are out there that are going to be part of this massive change, because this is something that's very big. People are so used to the way their homes are today that adapting from that can be difficult. So I feel like marketing a product that can work inside a smart home is going to be somewhat of a difficult task. But if you can eventually get people to get familiar with it and use it, I think there is a really bright future in that.
You mentioned about a minimalistic approach in homes and houses. I've noticed, especially in many Asian countries and European countries, the square footage designated to a family is significantly smaller than in the United States. And the way that the population of the planet grows, I think that's better for future. But do you support that idea of putting people in small boxes, or you actually have tendency of the lifestyle that Americans can afford and pretty much got used to, of having a house with a backyard and a couple of dogs running around?
Right. So this is a very interesting question, because I was actually looking into this, and I was watching a show a few days ago. It was about how we're so different from other countries in Europe and Asia, and that we don't have that minimalist mindset, and we want everything to be bigger and better and more accessible. We want the big house and the big yard, and there's a lot of capitalist ideas behind that. And one of the things that was mentioned was that, you have in luxury homes people putting in 8-burner stoves. And if you really think about it, there is not a single day throughout the year, not even on Thanksgiving, where you might use all of them. So why do we have it? Which is a very good question. And I feel like the answer to that is just because we can, because it's cool. I mean, you can have a $15,000-$20,000 stove with 8 burners, and you don't ever need to use more than one. However, it's the same thing as owning a luxury car. Do you need it? I mean, not really. You can go with having a different vehicle, but is it something that you can want and work your way to owning? Yeah, definitely. And I fully support being able to buy whatever it is that you want and own expensive things. I feel like that's what can drive a lot of people to be more successful and work harder and push themselves beyond limits that they didn't think were possible. So to answer that question, although minimalist can mean that you're living more in moderation. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to limit yourself from owning nice things.
Well, I actually asked you a question, and I realized that it's happening in LA as well. If you check LA downtown or Glendale downtown, all those new buildings they're much closer to minimalist lifestyle than luxury that we got used to in the United States. I mean, they have community pool, which is top quality. They have community game room, which is top quality, but you don't have that privacy that you can.
Right. So I've noticed this. This isn't something that I'm in full support of, but I do feel like a lot of things that are being built today, as far as new residences and multi-unit housing, are so focused on, the individual, or at most the couple, and not the family.
Yeah.
You don't I've been in some of these homes that they're so small, and there isn't any room to have somewhat of a large family, a few kids, a few pets, and raise them and be comfortable in that space. Everything is so just made for the single person and compact. So that's something that I have taken notice of. Excuse me. And I feel like it works for a lot of people today. However, it's not something that I enjoy seeing happening a lot.
I think it's just against the capitalistic mentality to have to share your privacy with some other people, even though you like them. I mean, if you take Asian countries and European countries, they get used to sharing spaces. Even in Las Vegas, if I see a person who passed me and pushed me, I'm 9% sure it's an Asian, because they get used to like keeping small distances.
Right.
I have nothing against Asians, but
Right.
it's the fact that it's in their culture. There's not enough space for anyone, and they just have to squish and push each other a little bit, and it's like normal for them, but it's weird for us.
It's so interesting because you say that. My family comes from Soviet Armenia, and I was actually born in Soviet Armenia during the downfall of the Soviet Union. My family came here when I was very young. I heard a lot of stories about how some of my family lived at the time, and my grandma always tells me that her family shared a home with another family.
Yeah, communal apartments.
Right, and this was mind-boggling to me because first of all, I don't understand how that works, and that privacy is so near and dear to me that, I mean, I don't, my fiance would laugh if she was here. I don't even like the windows to our apartment open sometimes, because I feel like it's a complete invasion of my privacy. And when she talks about how they lived with a whole nother family, it's, to me, it doesn't, I can't even imagine what that's like.
That happened after Russian Empire, when Russian Empire collapsed, and all those big apartments were pretty much taken away from rich people. Those apartments, there was a government project. They had to split apartments, so you would get a bedroom for your family, but you would share a kitchen or toilet, shower, forget about cell phone.
Right.
Community phone. The phone was one phone for a whole building. So weird times. And hard to imagine now.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is that what's so interesting about that is, when my grandmother tells me this story, and this isn't too long ago. This is about
30 years, 40 years.
Yeah, about 40, 50 years ago. And when she tells these stories about these like this other family she was living with, like, she can't forget them. And she said, you know, like, we had such a good time together. And I feel like that's something, it's so near and dear to her. I can maybe understand, you know, that feeling that she has, but there was something very special about that to her, having so little and being okay with sharing your personal space with another family, living out of one bedroom with a husband and 2 kids. My mom has also had that experience, and they actually speak very very highly of it. They miss that those days. They have good memories from them, which is of course very very interesting for me, and very interesting to hear those stories.
Well, at the same time, they were dreaming to come to the United States and to be able to afford decent houses.
Right.
So, I've had the same story. Going back to the fact that you have a vision of having. You see that minimalistic style in construction is a trend. By saying minimalistic, are you talking about the footprint of the building or the extra furniture that is in the house? Like design of interior or the actual buildings?
No, the space is something that you can never have enough of. What I'm really talking about is the utilization of that space. I don't see why you need to have, you know, and this is for a lot of people, you need to have 2 living rooms. A lot of people think that, you know, who have larger homes say, okay, you know what, we have 2 living rooms and we're not going to sit in one and we're only going to sit in another one. That to me doesn't make sense. If you have a living room, I feel like that's something, you know, you should enjoy, and you live there. I don't understand why some people choose to keep things very formal, like, hey, this is only for our guests, and they put in this very nice and uncomfortable furniture, and they never sit on it again. I mean, how often do a lot of these people have guests coming over?
I think I have an explanation for uncomfortable furniture.
Okay.
They don't stay long at your house. They prefer to live. So there's psychological background for that.
Yeah.
What about smart home? The understanding of smart home. Don't you have a feeling that it's some kind of invasion of your privacy as well? Because even, I mean, my kids bought Alexa, or they received it as a gift. The Alexa was inside the living room. I was sitting in patio. And I mentioned something through a Google or whatever.
Okay.
So my phone's microphone picked it up through Wi-Fi, sent signal to Alexa, and Alexa answered to the question or whatever I was mentioning. I get freaked out at that moment. So smart home, from one point of view, it's very comfortable and pretty much it's another layer of luxury.
Right.
It's not a necessity, you just think that you feel like you can afford. But isn't it invasion of privacy as well?
This is a very good question. I don't own any. I don't even know what these devices are called. They're like home
voice-activated computers.
Yeah, like these voice-controlled, Alexa and Siri is, of course, an iPhone thing, but Google Home. And I don't own any of these devices. I feel like it is an invasion of privacy. I don't think that these devices make your home smarter, although a lot of people do feel this way. There are a lot of other things that can be done in a home that can make the functionality and ease of use of that home so much better. I'll give you a great example. This whole thing started off from door locks. Okay,
mm-hmm.
I don't see why. I don't feel the need to have a door with a lock and a key. Well, when I say that, I want there to be a lock. I don't want there to be a key. A cell phone is something that we almost always have on us. When you come home, I feel like our artificial intelligence is so smart that it should sense that the homeowner is about to open the door. And it can be something as easy as you are in close enough proximity to your lock with your phone, which you almost 99% of the time have on you. And there are many other things like this that can change and be more digitalized and be more easier to use. So this is kind of what I had envisioned when I decided that, hey, you know what? The homes have to get smarter too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are still very tactile. You open the door to take a shower and you still have to turn the valve. Okay? You still have to wait for the water to get warm sometimes. We shouldn't have to, in the digital world that we live in, we shouldn't have to, play around with a knob to get the right temperature of the button. We should have the digital gauge cluster with your desired temperature, and the shower should know who's going with in there.
Settings,
right. So these are things that can really improve the experience, and this is what it's about. I don't know how a lot of people do it, but I know in our house, when we want to shower, it takes some time for the water to get warm. So if you can have a setting and maybe, have an app where you can go in your phone and say, hey, you know what, I want to shower in 5 minutes. By the time you get ready to go in there, it's there, it's on your specific temperature, and it's playing your favorite song.
That's
right?
cute.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of many things that can really enhance the living experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, coming back to reality. What's your routine?
I know you're thinking about how soon can I own this technology,
right? We're actually working on my construction, so I guess I can be a guinea pig. What's your daily routine? How do you try to keep yourself in shape? Workout, yoga, meditation. What?
So, it's been a while since I have worked out. I think COVID really changed a lot of things, a lot of routines that I had in my personal life. I know that I'm a lot more spiritually connected these days, and I do really focus on my health and well-being through a lot of like mindful meditation or guided meditation. I'm sorry. It really helps me clear my mind and relieve stress. A lot of times I find myself in very stressful situations with I can't say a lot of things go wrong on site. I'm usually on top of it, but a lot of other business related things. I try to have a good balance where I can, take some time off to do some guided meditation, guided breathing. I feel like it really helps me. Another thing that I really enjoy doing is I will go and get an adjustment, a chiropractic adjustment. I try to go at least once every 2 weeks. And that really helps me, get myself back in good physical condition, and kind of relieves that tense muscle that's built over time. So that's something that I like to do.
What's your favorite liquid?
This is a good one. Iced coffee.
Alcohol?
These days anything. I don't discriminate anymore.
Okay. And do you have any hobbies?
That's a good question. Hobbies. I wouldn't call it a hobby. I recently moved out of my parents' home. It's been close to a year, and the one thing that I really enjoy is almost every Sunday I go back home and I fire up the grill at my parents' house. I have some of my cousins come over, and we're always getting together almost every Sunday and breaking bread and catching up, and it's very near and dear to me because it's literally the only time throughout the entire week that I get to spend with my parents and my extended family. So I feel like indirectly I've associated doing barbecue with spending time with the family, and it's almost become like a ritual, tradition, like a hobby, so to speak. And it's something that I look forward to every week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And can you imagine your child taking over your business later on, or you would never recommend him to go that way?
It's interesting you bring that up, because this was a topic we were actually discussing with my fiance. Having gone through the school system here, K through 12, I realized that in this country, you can literally be successful at anything. And in every industry, there are very successful people and not so successful people. There are very wealthy contractors. I know a lot of them. I've worked with a lot of them. And there are broke contractors. And this applies to almost every industry, in my opinion. When it comes to my kids, I don't think that I would influence them or force them to go in this industry. However, I would like for them to realize that there's a very good opportunity to get a head start and a lot of help in developing the company and having a part and having a stake and eventually taking over. It's something that they can really benefit from. I feel like if I was in a similar position, it would be a lot easier for me to figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to make a career out of.
Why do you do this? Why did you start business? Why you want to? What's your goal? What's your legacy? What do you want to leave after yourself?
So, I really wanted to do this because I felt like I had to be the one in my family to live up to what a lot of people refer to as the American dream. Growing up, we didn't have everything. We lived well. My dad always worked, always took care of the family. We went on trips, we traveled, we had a lot of good experiences as kids, but we lived a very average life, and I know I always wanted more. I wanted more for myself. I wanted more for my family, and one day for my kids. And I realized that, just working somewhere was never going to be enough. It was never going to cut it. I knew how much money I needed to make in order to live a somewhat above average lifestyle and be able to afford a lot of the things that were important for me. So not had that in my childhood, it was always something that I told myself I would strive for, and the only way that I knew that I can accomplish these things was starting my own business, having the opportunity to not have to rely on or depend on anybody but myself and my knowledge and my work ethic to be successful.
You mentioned that you had some rough calculation how much you need to support your family to live above average lifestyle. Do you still have that cap, or you keep raising it? The reason I'm asking, is there a day that you want to say, all right, I created enough passive income, and now I want to retire and travel or do something else?
So that's a good question. I haven't really thought about it like that. I know that I'm at an age where I'm really focused on growth these days. And I feel like I don't have a lot of time to continue making mistakes. However, I'm not shying away from them. I realized that I spent the majority of my 20s making mistakes and wasting time, and being a young adult and doing everything that I wanted to do and not having to report to anybody. And I enjoyed a lot of it. I learned a lot from it, and I also came to a point where I wanted to settle down and build my own. So now, having recently gone into my 30s, I feel like now is my time to build. So that's what my main focus is. I want to build and expand as much as possible, so that when I'm in my 40s, I can really focus on working and running what I've built in my 30s.
What's your favorite book?
Favorite book? 48 Laws of Power. That's a
Here's the second one mentioning.
Good. One of my more favorite books.
And do you read often, or you don't have much time for that?
I don't have much time for reading. I do listen from time to time. However, I tend to get carried away a lot with my thoughts, so it hasn't really worked in my favor. However, there are some shows that I really enjoy following pertaining to the construction business and the growth and development of that business. I spend a lot of time, a lot of free time, really studying and learning new things about the industry that I'm in, because it really is, knowledge is limitless, so you can't ever know too much, and it's also the one thing that no one can ever take away from you.
That's true. When it comes to, everybody who starts his own journey, the biggest goal is to create enough stability in life and in income to be able to afford things and fulfill his dreams. You pretty much any person that works hard and creates income, he has some dreams or he has some passion that he wants to use that income or the funds or the energy or the experience to leave a dent in this universe, as Steve Jobs said. What's your biggest fear? What keeps you awake at night? that you might not be able to do, or what scares you the most?
So, I can't say that I'm very concerned for the future, but I do realize that we are living in uncertain times, but at least in my adult life, this may be the first actual experience that I am having of what can you do as a human being to leave the world a better place than you found it. This is something that's very important to me. I want to say that in my personal experience, I was always looking for God in during all times of my life, as a child, as an adolescent, and as an adult. And I feel like at some point I decided to face my fears and enter uncharted waters, and go into something that I wasn't so sure I was going to succeed in. And I did this with the belief that I was going to be able to find myself and figure out what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And in that journey, I grew a very special relationship with God, and I was able to understand His power in investing in me that which I needed to be more successful and do good in the world, and develop myself and those around me, and be kind and courteous and forgiving, and to never give up and always keep the faith. This is something that I time and time again I felt on my skin, that through the different trials in life, that as long as you keep fighting and you keep believing in yourself and you don't give up, that you can conquer whatever it is that's in front of you. And if there is one thing that I want to spend the rest of my life doing, is letting people know that if you really want, and this is specifically for the younger generations, because I've heard this before from the older generations, and I never was able to grasp onto it until I did personally go through it. But it's to always follow your instincts, and to never give up, and to not be afraid of failure, and to keep fighting no matter what. Because if something doesn't work out, and then it wasn't for you to begin with. But that doesn't mean that life is over. It's actually just the beginning. So, that's one thing that I want to leave behind in anything that I do, is to let the younger generation and those coming after me, to let them know that it's very important to have faith, believe in God, believe in yourself, and continue doing good work.
Let's imagine that this podcast is pretty much gaining at least a little bit of popularity, and there is a person that is listening or watching us, and he's at the point of making decision to start his own business journey. What will be your biggest advice for that person?
My biggest advice would be to follow your gut instinct and do whatever it is that you have in your vision, and believe that you are going to succeed and you are going to be successful, and just understand that even if you don't make it the way you have envisioned, it's not the end of the world. You will definitely learn something, you'll meet new people, and through your trials you may actually find what it is that you do want to do in life. And I would give that advice over and over again, to just go with it and not think about the consequences, because that's the fear that holds a lot of people back from doing what they want to do. The biggest, I don't want to say it's the biggest regret, but the biggest wonder I have in my life is, I always wonder what would have happened if I did join the armed services as an 18-year-old, which is something I really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And it's not, it's of course something I've come to terms with and something I live with and I'm okay with, of course, but I always still think about, what if I joined? What if what if my life, went into that direction? Where would I be today? And if I had went with my gut instinct to join, I would have never had to wonder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is the one piece of advice I would like someone who may be watching this in the future, who's contemplating on what they should do, is to follow their heart. Just do whatever it is that creates that burning sensation inside you. And for me, it was to build homes. So that's kind of where I am.
Do you like to travel?
I do enjoy traveling. I do travel a lot locally. I have not been out of the country since the pandemic started. So I do enjoy traveling, but with two fairly new businesses, which depend on one another, I find it hard these days.
Okay. And all of us went through pandemic. You mentioned it a few times about COVID. It was tough, but it wasn't tough enough, in my opinion, if we would face the full force of that economical impact on society back 2 years ago when the pandemic started. We would be in much better shape now, in my opinion, because now we're actually facing the delayed reaction of whatever happened in 2020. We went through pandemic. We survived. A lot of businesses pretty much got shut down. Do you think that you are ready for another pandemic or another economy downturn? And if yes, how you protect yourself?
So this is a good question. I don't think any of us were really prepared, and maybe I'm speaking for myself here, but I don't think any of us were prepared for what happened in 2020. And I feel like it was a very big wake-up call for everybody to understand that everything is not always going to be smooth sailing. And at least my generation, and possibly your generation, had not lived through such a time where we had to deal with a pandemic. So it's definitely something that long after everything is said and done, we're going to feel the effects. I feel like we are feeling the financial burdens of the pandemic now, whereas we should have felt them when the pandemic started. However, or for whatever reason, we're now facing these financial burdens and shortages and crazy inflation. And who's to know if it happened then, if we would have, I feel like we would have been way better off than if it were to happen right now, because we bounced back pretty well. However, it's difficult to say that one situation would have been better than the other. I feel like any sort of hardship that was created because of this pandemic, whether it be emotional or financial, 2 years ago or today, the impact is still going to be pretty major. And I feel like I'm not prepared for another one. However, the beauty of life is somehow that you are dealt the cards and you just have to figure it out sometimes. And we've been blessed to work in the city of Los Angeles, having such a active real estate market. There's always work to go around in our industry. I think to circle around and come back to your question, I didn't see construction take a very big hit during the 2008 recession, and maybe that's why I'm a little more comfortable than I should be.
And now it's time for Blitz questions. When it comes to traveling, is it airplanes or car?
Oh my. I would have to say cars.
You're visiting new city. You're visiting museums or clubs?
Museums.
When it comes to passive rest, is it parks or laying on the beach?
These days I'm enjoying parks a lot more.
Right. When it comes to sitting on a couch, is it reading books or watching TV?
These days it's watching TV.
Right. When it comes to spend time with close ones, is it friends or family?
That's a good one.
Imagine I'm not here.
I'm gonna have to say family.
Good. When it comes to taking risks, is it in business?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going all in or weighing your options and then fighting?
I would say it's it's a little bit of both. You'll never know until you try. So depends.
When it comes to food, steak or dessert?
Steak. Good one.
Tequila or whiskey?
Tequila.
Well, I guess. And do you have any joke for me?
God, do I have a joke for you? Not really.
Right. Well, I guess we'll leave that for next time. I hope
Sure.
I'll see you again. Well, here's my guest, Sevak Petrosyan, the owner of MIHR Construction Services. A human being that's going through daily struggles and trying to provide quality service for his customers. And I vouch for that. If any of you decides to use his services, the information is going to be added to the screen below, and the link is going to be to how to contact him will be added to this podcast. And for us, please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, tweet, retweet, share this podcast among your friends. And whoever's interested to be a guest at this podcast, you can contact us. We'll book you in. And Sevak, thanks for being a guest. I hope to see you again multiple times so I'm pretty sure you're going to be on way different stage at your business. And I hope I'll still be sitting here and talking to my guests, and I wish you best of luck, and
thank you. I'm flattered.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And for all of you, thanks for watching, and thanks for your time. Peace.